Congratulations, you have gotten yourself a flute. Today we're going to be unboxing the YFL 26280Y and telling you how to set it up. Check it out. Howdy everybody, my name is Andrew King and we are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have this instrument and more. And please leave a like, it helps us get really new videos out and make sure that we know you're interested. So today we're going to be looking at the Yamaha YFL 262. It is a set that is paired up with the YFL 282, and I'll talk about why in just a second. But today we're going to be doing an unboxing, going through what it contains, what it has, how to set up a flute, and to make sure that the one you got is right for you. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and unbox it and see what we got. Okay, so we have it all unboxed. It's going to come with three things in the box mostly, and this is going to be in common with most instruments. You're going to have these, which I'll tell you what these are in a second, with a little label and everything too. This is going to be a little care kit. This is going to be what comes with most instruments, or you can buy them extra from other shops. But basically it's going to come with a swab for the inside of the instrument, a polishing cloth, and a little user manual too if you want to go check that out. Inside the flute we have here is the actual flute itself, right? It's going to be pretty much packaged away in plastic, so you need to unwrap that too. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so we've unboxed it, we've unpackaged everything, we're looking pretty good. So this is the YFL 262, and the main difference between this one and say the YFL 282, which is kind of the extended cousin of it, is going to be this. Right here on the G key, it's going to have it kind of offset, and it's called offset G for that reason. The main big thing for it is for people with smaller hands. When the instrument keys are all in line with each other, then it's called inline, and that basically is so that people with larger hands don't have to work as hard to get over or have to scrunch up to press it down. And then on the offset G, people with tinier hands are able to reach the instrument and cover the hole as far as the G key goes much easier. So when I press it down, I go 1, 2, 3. It's easier to reach. But if I were to be inline, it would just be a little more higher up, and so that the pad of your finger, which is going to be right here where your fingerprint usually lies, that's what's going to go on top of the hole and be able to close it up. Now, a lot of players are going to have problems reaching your finger over to cover the entire hole, and that's going to be through the entire instrument, so they make these, and these are flute plugs. Flute plugs are basically things that you put into the holes on the flute. I am very, personally, I use them myself because I am a saxophone player and I usually don't have to worry about this thing. But with these, you do want to plug them up, especially for younger children when their fingers are so small or basically dainty that the fat in the fingers don't cover up the entire hole, or that it's just a technique thing. This is something that most flute players are going to battle for the first like 5 or 6 years of them playing, or for the first 1 or 2 if they're using private lessons. And so having those flute plugs that you can go ahead and put into the holes make it so that you can at least play the instrument while waiting to basically build up the correct technique, the correct posture, and all of that to be able to put your fingers over and cover the entire hole. The flute will sound better if you're able to cover the entire hole. There's certain techniques overall that you want to use later on that are more advanced that you need the flute holes to be able to do. But as far as a beginner or intermediate player, you're more than likely to be okay just using flute plugs and putting them in. Usually what teachers will do is when you first start, they'll take one at a time starting at the low D key and taking them up all the way up, and then as you get used to it, you'll be fine. If you were to use this with any other kind of instrument as far as these kind of plugs, the only thing is that usually these plugs are only going to be able to fit their own branded instrument. So the flute plugs that come with the instrument are usually going to be the only ones you can use. So say you have like a Gemeinhardt flute and then you got some Yamaha flute plugs, they probably aren't going to fit, unfortunately. So make sure when you go and look for extra flute plugs, or you're trying to get some for your older flute, that you go ahead and get one that's labeled with the same brand, because unfortunately everyone wants to standardize their own items to their own thing, so they make sure you buy it from them. And it's just kind of part of it. The other cool thing about this flute is going to be the head joint. It's a very nice nickel-plated head joint. In the intermediate and going up, you will get instruments with silver-plated head joints, or maybe even solid silver head joints. And if you go into the intermediate style flutes, you will get a bottom B key. With these kind of flutes, you're going to be getting a bottom C key. It doesn't reach as far down. The end joint is not going to be as big as well, but it will be able to play pretty much any song that you're going to play through middle school and most of high school, depending on the kind of school that you go to. So let's go ahead and set up the instrument. So when setting up the flute, you want to go ahead, I recommend just starting off with that bottom end joint. And where you want to set up is basically when you go for it, you want to hold the top of the flute where there's no keys and the bottom of the head joint where there's not a lot of keys either. Because basically, if you were to do this from here and then do it from here, what ends up happening is you're going to be squeezing the keys down. And these are made of nickel, but they are very fragile. So make sure when you're setting up the flute that you're not going to be squeezing down because that could bend the keys and you end up having to go to the shop a lot faster. What ends up happening is when the keys get bent is that the instrument stops being able to play certain notes because the keys aren't sealing correctly. And that's no good for anybody. So when you do it, make sure that you're holding it from the top, from the bottom, and when you put the end joint on, just carefully put it on there, slip it in, and put it there. Now, usually, with these beginner flutes, you'll see little arrows on the bottom and the top of the different joints. These are supposed to be in line, and that's just to make it so you know exactly where to do it and where the manufacturer wants the instrument to be played to make sure everyone works. You don't have to do it exactly or anything. With this instrument, in comparison to the instruments like, say, the saxophone or with the clarinet, there's no parts coming in or out of the different joints that join together. These are all very separated from each other, so it's not too important, and you should just do it to where you're comfortable. But if you want to be perfect, like basically what everyone else would be doing, just go ahead and line up the two arrows that are at the bottom and the top of different end joints. Those help out too. Next, we're going to be putting on the head joint, so you just take that out, put this on right here, slide it in, make sure you're not touching any keys or anything like that. You want to be as set as possible, and then just put it on like so. Now, as far as the head joint being on the flute, you just want it to be in line with the keys. That's usually a good parameter for putting it on, and then being able to just blow across. And you just be good to go. So with that being said, there's also another accessory that comes in this, and this has to do with the swab that's on the inside. When you're done playing the flute, I always recommend taking out this. This is your tuning rod. It's basically a giant sewing needle, and what you do is you take the swab, the cleaning swab on the bottom over here in the bag, and what you'll do is you put it through the hole, said right here, and then you just use it to go ahead and clean out the flute back and forth. You want to take it apart, of course, every time you do this, then go ahead and clean it out. This is to get rid of any kind of condensation or water that spit that would come out of the instrument while you're playing it. This is just to take care of it. When there's kind of liquids inside of flutes and whatnot, what ends up happening is that a lot of the pads can get kind of ruined or waterlogged, and that is not good for the longevity of the instrument. Typically, you're going to be taking a flute in every year to get it looked at, but when it gets super humid or you don't clean it properly or anything, you could be doing it every 6 months, depending. So just be very careful, making sure that you're using your different parts. Most flutes, brand new flutes, are going to come with a tuning rod, but if it doesn't have one, they are easily available in most music shops as extras, or if you lose one, that's a good idea too. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. Get in the comments. Let me know what your first flute was if you're just getting started, or tell me what the next one's going to be. There's tons of stuff available, and we can't wait to hear what you say. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.